Oh, benvenuti. Welcome back to Toast, everybody. If you haven't listened to the other two episodes of Toast in Italy, I suggest you go do them. They're amazing. The last one was with Vinny in Calabria. Just hear his opinion and hear his jokes and my horrible jokes. We talked about pizza and prosciutto sandwiches so much in that episode that we ended up just, ordering pizza, obviously. That's what you do when you're talking about pizza for like 25 minutes on a podcast. So today we're going to talk about kind of one of my favorite things about Italy is the fact that you go to these small ass towns. I'm not talking about like the small ass town that I lived in, Catanzaro. That would be considered actually a city in Italy. I'm talking about like a tiny little village that you might not even find on the map if you search it on Google. That's how small it is. And that's actually where my dad was born. Okay, so this place is called San Mango sul Calore. If you know how to search it, you still might not find it, like I said. Really, really small town, close to Avellino, which is about 2 to 3 hours outside of Naples. It's pretty small. There's nothing really around. This is the story of how I went to, like, really the birthplace of my father, and like this is like crazy, right? Can you like imagine going to that place? Anyways, this is it, and it's crazy and it's awesome, and stay tuned. What happened is I decided like I need to go, right? And this was back in 2014. This was my first time in Italy. I had already been to Rome. I hitched a ride with my uncle, and I'm going to talk about Raffaele in another episode, not necessarily right now, maybe the next episode. You got to stay tuned to find out. And I was there with my buddy Mike, and we drove all the way down from Rome to San Mango sul Colore, and it was fucking awesome. As soon as we get there, you're greeted with like a swarm of dogs, and those are just like farm dogs, right? And then there's like 20 cats kind of just like doing whatever, looking at you like, who the fuck this guy? And like in the background you hear like chickens and cows and pigs, and it's just like the most stereotypical like farm or ranch that you could imagine, but realistically it's like the epitome, the center point, the birthplace of those self-sustainable eco farms that all of you guys want to live on to like reconnect with nature, man. That's the place that it stems from, and it was so beautiful to go there. As soon as we got there, I realized, well, fuck it, nobody speaks Italian. They just speak this dialect, which is barely even a language in itself. So I was trying to understand what they were saying, also asking Raffaele to translate, from dialect to Italian. And I'm not joking. These dialects in Italy are legitimately different languages. They have nothing to do with each other or Italian. They all stem from their long history, and, drive 50 kilometers and they speak another language. And I'm being 100% honest. Anyways, the best part about it was just being able to see the place where my dad was born. Like I kind of started asking some questions, like meeting up with them. It's like seeing them, like, what do you do? Like, show me around. They show you a bit of the farm. They show you where the pigs are and things like that. And at some point I'm like, yo, like, I heard my dad was born in this house. And they're like, no, he wasn't born in this house. He was born in that house. And like, they pointed to this like old shack in the background, and you're like, oh damn, okay, can we go see it? And as soon as like we open the door when we get there, she's like, yeah, he was born right there. And there's this massive cow, huge, like weighs a ton, weighs more than your car. And it's just like, moo, right in my face. That's where your dad was born, like right in that pile of turd. It was great. It was a funny moment. I, joked about it, and I continue to joke about it with my dad. Sorry if you're listening to this, Dad. But it was great. It was really cool to be able to reconnect and see how they really grow everything on the farm. And, not just like everything that they need, but they also sell a little bit of it. They really live like the traditional farmers, but not really caring about society, not really interacting too much with it. The only thing that they actually sell from that farm is cheese, because that cow actually produces too much milk for the 3 people who lived there, or 4 people who lived there at the time. So you're talking about 4 people who live there and can live completely sustainably, like green, zero carbon emission kind of lifestyle by, just growing their food and doing what they need to do, feeding the pigs, feeding the cows, and kind of just living life. And it was really cool to connect with that and try to like understand what they were saying. And, the hospitality that they greeted us with was just spectacular. Food galore, as you'd imagine for Italians. But like, it's cool with Italians because what we do here is the same as they do in Italy. You know, like you kind of have these little appetizers, little antipasto, right? Aperitivo, if you watch the last episode. So you're kind of drinking a little bit, eating a little bit. Then, like, it starts. Like, the swarm begins. Plate after plate after plate, and everybody gets their own plate. So it's not like you could just choose from the middle what you want to eat, and you would eat it all anyways because it's literally all grown there. It's as fresh as it can be. And it was so marvelous because I'm just eating all this food. Like the pasta comes out, right? That's how it happens. The pasta comes out, then the meat comes out, right? That's how it happens in Italian families. And after the meat, you get the veggies that come out with the salad. And then after the veggies and the salad, you start getting the sweets. You know, you get the sweets with your coffee. And then after your coffee, you get the fruit and the cake. And you get all of that. I don't know why cakes are not part of the sweets, but the sweets are part of like cookies and biscuits and all of those beautiful things. And they're just feeding me with all of this shit. And at some point, I'm just there, like, unable to, like, sit any longer. It's like I feel like I need 6 coffees to stay awake because my whole body's going in shutdown to digest. And I asked them, I say, yo, like, what from this dinner on this table, you know, doesn't come from the farm? And because I was genuinely curious. And they kind of, like, looking around. They're like, and already in that moment, you're just like, whoa, okay, like, this table is like stuffed with food. It's like packed to the brim. Like literally, like if somebody came in with another plate, there wouldn't be space for it. And that's exactly what happened. Somebody came in with another plate and there wasn't space for it. And they're all looking around and that plate hits the table and all of them at the same fucking time say, Languria, watermelon. The watermelon was the only thing that I ate at this massive dinner that was not, you know, grown on that farm. And so what I'm trying to say with this story is that it was really fucking cool to go and see, like, you know, my dad's uncle, my grandfather's brother, all of these, like, people that you kind of wish you can, like, meet and, like, maybe interview for a podcast because their lives are just so different and so unique compared to ours, just so distant from society as we know it. And for them, it's just like it's a kind of a peaceful life, not without its, you know, hardships. I'm not trying to sell it as the rainbows and unicorns, as, you know, some people might, but it's cool to see how, you know, we can kind of just go back to our roots and reconnect and you know, like throw bones to dogs and really to see what they do with the waste, right? So like, I don't know, maybe I didn't eat my crust or something on something, and this isn't something that they throw in the garbage, right? Like they composted before composting was a thing. Like they compost in their backyard. And even at that, like they didn't really compost. They would take those edges of the watermelons and they would go out back and they'd feed it to the pigs, and the pigs would just they would nom that shit out. And you kind of look at it like admiring, like the fact that, like, you almost say like, wow, I can't believe you thought about that. And here they are saying, like, what, you don't do that? Like, we're kind of the idiots. We're weird. We're the weird ones for not really knowing that we could dispose of this shit better. And, like, you know, compost, right? It's so smart. If we'd been composting this whole time, we wouldn't have these landfill issues, whatever. I'm not here to preach. I'm here to tell you travel stories. And this travel story was me reconnecting to my roots. And I think that you guys, if you have family elsewhere in the world that you haven't seen or met, now in quarantine is a fucking great time to start reaching out, to start asking which family members know other family members, and maybe you can organize a trip to go visit them when this is all blown over, when this is all said and done and quarantine is lifted and flights are open and everyone's going crazy. They're finally drinking margaritas on the street. And like, I don't know, like, just, you know, try to reconnect to your roots, because that is one of those travel experiences that no matter how short or long the story is, I can't really like put it into words, and I can't take these emotions and how beautiful it felt to just be there and be present and meet them, and it made their day and it made my day, and it you know, and I eventually revisited them and they took me around and we went on excursions and stuff, and that's beautiful because I kind of look at them as like these farmers and think like, oh man, they don't know anything about the world. And yet the more you talk to them, the more you realize that they just know so many different things. And they've still been to Switzerland and Northern Italy and Sicily and France and all of these things. They've done it, even with a lot less money than we think is necessary. They've done it, and they still knew, like, you know, the ins and outs of the mountains around them, you know. Like, it was just really, really cool to experience that and see like such a different version of Italy than what we're known to see, which is like Colosseum and all of these like tourist traps or tourist attractions. Because what I've always believed to be real Italy, in all honesty, are the small towns, and more specifically in the South. Maybe it's because my family are Southerners, but the good food, even Northerners will say it, the good food and the good life and the good beaches and the good water and the good everything that is, stereotypes of Italy is found in the South. And not to, undermine places like Cinque Terre or something like that, but that's what, towns look like in Italy in general. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for putting up with me just ranting about how happy I was to reconnect with my dad's roots. And next episode is going to be more exciting, adventure, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So stay tuned and yeah, toast out.